Hello my lovely students, how are you all? A very hearty welcome to this mind-blowing platform, Physics Wallah. My name is Super Sharma and today we are going to do two poems, and that is Fog and For and Gregory. Okay, both these poems are very lovely. The first poem is about the beauty of nature and the second poem is also about the beauty. But what kind of beauty? It is about the inner beauty. Now let's start. See, we are going to have an overview of the chapter, stanza-wise explanation, and then also we are going to do the poetic devices and homework from your sample paper. Okay, homework from your latest sample paper we are going to do. We are going to discuss the type of questions that can come in your exam. Okay, now Carl Sandburg's Fog is a short and sweet American haiku poem. See, the first thing, the name of the poet. The name of the poet is Carl Sandburg, and this is a haiku poem. He has written a haiku poem. What's a haiku poem? Haiku poem means a two-line poem. Okay, it's a two-line poem. It has 5 lines, but if you look at the full stops, there are only 2 sentences. So it's a 2-sentence poem, basically 2-sentence poem that demonstrates the author's appreciation for nature. Here, the poet is trying to explain that we should appreciate nature. You know, we take nature for granted. We do not appreciate its beauty. People go to hill stations, people go for traveling, you know, they travel a lot. Why do they travel? They want to travel because they want to experience beauty. They want to experience nature. Lot of people do not do that. He is basically trying to grab our attention towards the beauty of nature. In the poem, the narrator describes a fog that hangs over the city as though it is a cat-like creature. It's a very different type of poem, okay? See, here the poet is comparing fog with a cat-like structure. Okay, you know that fog and cat, they do not have any similarity. They're quite, you know, they do not have any link. But here, you know, he has used the structure of fog with a cat. Okay, the structure of a cat with a fog has been compared. This adds character to an otherwise mundane natural event. See, this is a very mundane natural event. It's a very normal natural event. If we look at fog, you know, fog is not considered to be an element of beauty. But here, by comparing it with cat, the, you know, poet has given some element to it, some strong character to it. This also makes the fog feel more endearing to the reader. We feel the fog more close to our heart. Why? Because it has been, you know, compared with a lovely creature. Like people, you know, they love cats. Okay, they have a general love for cats. The cats, you know, they are very cute, especially if we talk about little cats. So here, a fog has been compared with a little cat. So the poet is trying to make it more endearing, he's trying to make it more lovely, which helps them relate the feelings that the narrator feels towards the natural world. See, a few people, they have a lot of love for the nature. They feel very close to the nature. So he also wants to demonstrate that, see, I have a lot of love for the natural world. Maybe you do not, you know, feel that kind of love. Maybe the reader does not have that much love for fog like the poet has. That is why he has compared it with a life, you know, a living person, and that is a cat. The intention of the poem is to highlight the beauty of nature in a clever and amusing way. So he is highlighting the beauty of nature. As I told you, that nature is to be appreciated. Nature is something that can be so calming, so soothing. You know, people go for holidays and they go to beautiful hill stations. They want to have a panoramic view of nature. Why do they go? They want to have a calming and soothing effect, because it gives a calming and soothing effect. Okay, so that is why it appeals to the eyes. It is, you know, it is good for our ears and everything. You know, those images, they stay in our mind forever. Okay, nature is such kind of a beauty which stays in our mind forever. That is why the poet has added an element to it, so that, you know, we can, you know, correlate with it. Now let's look at the poem. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city and then moves on. The fog comes. He's saying the fog comes on little cat feet. He's saying that the fog is coming on little cat feet. It sits looking. He's also saying that the poet, that the fog is looking. The fog is looking just like a cat over harbor and city. Harbor means port. This harbor word was also used in the Ball poem, and it is also used here. Harbor basically means a port where all the ships, they stay there, and the ships, there are a lot of ships. Okay, it's a place for the ships and all. So he is basically trying to say that, like the fog looks, it covers the whole area, even the harbor and the city. When there is a lot of fog, then even the ships do not move. Even the ships face difficulty to move. But it goes on, then moves on. Fog comes out of nowhere and then it leaves just like a cat. So here it has been compared with the cat. But to understand it better, let's look at its summary. The poet is describing the arrival of fog. He says that the fog comes like little cat feet. Here, the fog has been compared with a little cat. He is drawing a comparison of a fog with a little cat. Like a cat walks very silently. Cat comes, when a cat comes, it comes so silently, it doesn't make any noise. Okay, it's so, the cat is very much, under control. His body, its body is quite under its control, and it walks in such a manner that nobody can predict its arrival. So it comes like that, walks silently on its small feet, and no one can know about its arrival. No one can know about its arrival. You may never know that a cat is coming. If a dog is coming, the dog is doing, it's making a lot of noises, maybe it barks and everything. The dog announces its arrival, but the cat doesn't. Cat comes silently, just like fog. The fog also sets in a similar way. It sets, very silently. You cannot predict its arrivals. It can come anytime. The fog enters the city very slowly. How does it enter? It enters very slowly and calmly. No one can predict its arrival. For example, you can easily compare the fog, because nowadays you can see that there is winter time, and in winter times you cannot predict that when fog is going to come. It's winter time, and every day the fog is not coming. Okay, the fog is not appearing. It appears out of nowhere. You cannot predict its arrival. That is why it comes like a cat. And then the poet says, the thick cloud of fog covers the entire city. In a similar way, the cat sits silently by folding its leg behind itself. If you have seen a cat sit, the fog also covers the entire city, just like a cat, just like a shape of a cat. You just imagine a cat sitting. When a cat sits, it, fold its legs behind. It folds its leg behind and it sits on its leg, and the shape is like that, and the fog also comes like that. The fog is coming like that, and it sits. The fog engulfs the harbor. It engulfs the harbor. Here it means that it covers. It basically covers the harbor. You cannot see anything. You cannot see the harbor clearly. You cannot see anything when the fog comes, and the whole city silently, it does that silently without any noise. The fog doesn't have any noise around the places the way a cat does. Even a cat comes, when a cat comes, you cannot tell it's coming, just like the fog. After some time, the fog leaves the city and moves on. Just after some time, the fog leaves. Okay, they're also saying that the fog leaves. Yes, the fog leaves just like a cat. Okay, you cannot actually predict when the fog is going to leave. The fog suddenly leaves, just like the cat. The cat doesn't make any noise. If you have a cat as a pet, you may know that how a cat behaves. The cat doesn't, it doesn't make any noise. It's very silent. It does all the actions very silently. After some time, the fog leaves the city and moves on. Here the poet wants to convey that the fog does not stay for a longer time. If a cat comes, the cat doesn't stay for long. It leaves. It immediately leaves. Whenever it feels like, it will leave. Okay, a dog, if we talk about a dog creates a lot of commotion, there is a lot of movement, it's going to show, it is going to announce its arrival, and they make a lot of noise even after coming, after leaving, and they are going to do a lot of things. But if we talk about a cat does all these things very silently. That is why the fog is compared with that. Now, when I talk about fog, I'm not talking about that fog which you see, which you generally see in the cities. If we talk about Delhi, Calcutta and Bangalore, where there is a lot of pollution and population, there the fog is not so beautiful, okay? It's of grey color and you cannot even breathe properly in the fog. Here I'm talking about the beautiful fog which you can see in villages. In villages who do not have, where you do not see a lot of pollution and population, and in the beautiful hill stations, people generally go to the hill stations to admire the beauty of the fog. So that fog we are talking about, that white fog, that beautiful fog, So here we can see that by comparing the fog with the cat, we have added an element of beauty to it. Okay, you can easily compare its movement, its arrival, its departure with that of a cat. Okay, now let's talk about the poetic devices. See, the first poetic device here is metaphor. The poet has compared the fog to a cat. Okay, here we can see that fog and cat, they are not so similar things, but they have compared both of these, so this is a metaphor. Okay, enjambment. The sentence is being continued to the next line without a break through the poem. So there are no punctuation marks. If we see here, if we look at it very carefully, here we can see that there is no punctuation mark. Okay, there is no punctuation mark here. No full stops, no commas. Here also we can see that there are no punctuation marks. Okay, no punctuation marks. So here we can see that this line and this line, it has enjambment. Okay, enjambment. Why it has enjambment? Because we can see that this is only one line. Okay, this is only one line. Here the line is being continued to the next line. There is no full stop and comma. It means that it's just a single line, so it's an enjambment. Here also we can see that the poet is not taking a break. The poet is not taking a break. It's just continuing from one line to another line and then to the third line without the use of any commas and full stops. So it's an enjambment. Okay, it's enjambment. Fine. Now, personification. There is a very clear personification in this poem. The poet has personified fog by using phrases like, "Come on, little cat feet, sits looking over harbor." Now we know that fog doesn't have feet. The fog cannot sit and it cannot look. But the poet has given a personal element to it. It has personified. Okay, it has personified the fog, because obviously he is comparing it with a cat, but a fog does not have, the fog cannot sit, the fog cannot look. So there is personification here. Now, analogy. Analogy, there is a very clear analogy here. It is a comparison between two things on the basis of structure for the purpose of clarification. The poet has used the analogy to show us a connection between fog and cat. See, what is analogy? Analogy means when you compare one thing with the other thing by comparing their structures. The structure of a cat and the structure of a fog are very similar to each other. Okay, in structure they are quite, similar. That is why we can see that there is an analogy here. Okay, the structure is quite similar. The way the cat comes, the way the cat leaves without making a noise, the fog does the same. Okay, just like a cat sits and observes everything around it. Okay, it looks everything, when a cat is looking, it is observing each and everything around it silently. It does that silently, just like the fog does. They're comparing the cover, like the fog covers and sits and looks, although the fog is not looking, but they have compared it just like the cat does. So this is an analogy. Now, the next thing, imagery. The poet has he's successful in making a visual imagery in your mind, creating a visual description. There is a visual description in your mind. Even, if you read this poem without any explanation, Okay, even if you do not read the summary of this poem, then also if you read the poem, you can draw an image in your mind. When you read the word fog, okay, you can imagine fog in your mind. It means that he has used visual imagery. You can make a visual imagery in your mind. So it has imagery. Okay, so now we are going to read the second poem, that is for Anne Gregory. And surprisingly, this poem is also about beauty. Yes, this is about your inner beauty. Okay, here the poet is giving you a very special message. Okay, and this message is very important for all the people, not only for the girls but also for, you know, boys, because here we can see the poet is saying all these things to a girl, so you know the girls can easily relate to it. But the kind of message that he is given, even the boys can take that message and they can learn something from it. I bet that you're gonna learn, learn this, learn the message that he's trying to convey. See, if you have heard this idiom, there is an idiom saying that the outer beauty pleases the eye. Outer beauty pleases the eye, whereas the inner beauty captures your heart. Yes, this really happens. Okay, if you look at someone and the person is very beautiful, okay, he's very, the person is very beautiful and you want to talk to them, you want to approach them, and they have a beautiful face, they have beautiful hair, they are dressed up, they are decked up properly. But the moment they open their mouth, we find out that they are very rude. Okay, they do not have a very good nature, they're not humble, they're not kind, and they have a lot of attitude. So, do you want to talk to that person? No. That is, his they are not beautiful from inside. Their outer beauty, the outer beauty can be deceptive. The outer beauty can be deceptive. That is why we say now that we should not judge a book by its cover. Why do we say that? Because, the covers can be deceptive. It means that the outer cover, the outer beauty can be very deceptive. If you are, perceiving if the person is beautiful from outside, he's gonna be, beautiful from inside. That is completely wrong. He may not be beautiful. So here, this poem is written by W.B. Yeats. Okay, it is written by W.B. Yeats. He has tried to touch a very important topic. Here we are going to talk about a very important topic. He says that it is almost impossible to find a person in your life who loves you truly. Yes, he is here talking about true love. Okay, he says that it is almost impossible for you to find a person who is going to love you truly, who is going to love you for yourself. By saying truly, he means the one who loves you for your qualities and not your looks. The person who loves you for your qualities. Okay, he's not loving you for the way you look. Even if you are very beautiful, if you're not beautiful inside, then it doesn't matter. He says that only God loves us for what we are from inside. He is trying to convey a message that there is only one person in this world, that is God. God is going to love you for the way you are. Okay, the way you are, for your inner beauty. Okay. So, never shall a young man thrown into despair by those great honey-colored ramparts at your ear love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. See, he is here talking to a young girl called Anne Gregory. Okay, there is a young girl called Anne Gregory. He is telling Anne Gregory that never shall a young man, it's never going to happen that a young man thrown into despair. Thrown into despair means the person who's falling in your love, the person you are rejecting, the person, he is sad, he's in despair. Okay, he's in despair by those great honey-colored ramparts at your hair. Okay, here he's comparing these hair, like these hair are covering my ears. Okay, they're covering my ears. So here he's comparing these hair which are covering my ears with ramparts. He's saying that those honey-colored ramparts of your hair, the honey-colored, the color here is golden yellow. We know the color of honey is golden yellow. Love you for yourself alone. The person, that man is not going to love you for yourself alone. For yourself alone means your inner beauty. Your inner beauty, what you're inside. Okay. but he is going to love you, not your yellow hair and not your yellow hair. Okay, the person is going to love you not for your yellow hair. You should fall for such a person who will love you for yourself, but not your yellow hair. By yellow hair, he wants to say, yellow hair or blonde hair, if you say, if you talk about foreign countries, WB belongs to, Europe and America. If you talk about in Europe and America, the girls who have blonde hair, they are quite loved. They are loved, they are considered to be very beautiful. Like in India, if you have black hair, if you have pure black hair, if you have dark, black hair, so it is considered to be a symbol of beauty. Similarly, he's saying that not for your yellow hair. If he's not loving you for your yellow hair, you have to fall for such kind of a person. If you look at its explanation, the poet is talking to a beautiful girl. Here we see a beautiful girl called Gregory. He tells her that a man will never fall in love with her because of her inner beauty. He's saying that nobody is gonna love you for your inner beauty. They'll always love her because of her beautiful face and yellow hair. Beautiful face and yellow hair. Like the hair falls. Okay, like the hair falls like this. He further describes Anne's hair by saying that her hair falls before her ears as if they are trying to protect her ears. So, like a rampart. What's a rampart? Rampart means, okay, I have not written here. Ramparts are, a protective layer. A protective layer. Or a protective layer of a fort, you can say, like there is an architecture, okay, there is a building around a fort, there are walls, there are huge walls in a fort to protect it. Similarly, these ramparts, these hair are covering your ears. So he's comparing it with the ramparts, with the protect, with the hair. That's why they have been compared to ramparts. Through these lines, he wants us to understand and be aware of the situation that one falls in love with our outer beauty. Only he is trying to warn Gregory that nobody in this world is going to love you for your inner beauty, but they are going to fall for your outer beauty. Yes, this is a reality of the world. Nowadays, if we see, it's all about outer beauty. There are so many beauty products. If you just open social media, and in social media you can see, multiple thousands and thousands of, makeup videos and this and that. Every person is doing makeup. If we talk about the earlier times, only the people who were going to a party or something, they used to do makeup. If you ask your mother, if you ask your grandmother, they never used to do makeup, even if they were going to a party or something. Okay, but nowadays, okay, slowly the trend came that everybody who's going to a party, he is going to, she is going to apply makeup on her face. But now we see that every person, no matter their age, no matter where they are going to, work on their outer beauty. If you have seen, if we talk about, the Korean beauty, they are always, putting plastic on their faces, and they are getting Botox, and they are doing plastic surgeries, especially in South Korea. If we see, I know that you see a lot of South Korean, these BTS and everything, they have beauty standards. They have a few beauty standards that needs to be followed. If you talk about Japan and everything, they have, specific parlors where they are going to completely change your look. It's all about looks for them. Okay, they do not look at the inner beauty. They do not see that what kind of a person he is inside. Okay, they're only going to look at your outer beauty. So he is warning Gregory that nobody is going to love you for what you're inside. They're only going to look at your outer beauty. So let's talk about the poetic devices, the metaphor. The poet has compared Anne's hair with ramparts of a fort. So Anne's hair are compared with the ramparts of a fort. Ramparts means the protective layer which is around the fort, the huge walls which are there to protect the fort. Similarly, the hair protects her ears. Alliteration, it is the repetition of a letter at the start of closely placed words. As you know that Y, repetition of a consonant sounds at the starting of closely placed words. So Y and Y is being repeated in your yellow. So it's an alliteration. Now, this is what Annie replies. See, Anne has a solution. See, she says, but I can get a hair dye and set such color there, brown or black or carrot, that young man in despair may love me for myself alone and not my yellow hair. She's saying that, okay, if he is loving me for my yellow hair, if he is loving me for my blonde hair, I am going to dye my hair. I'm going to set such a color, brown, black or carrot. By carrot, she wants to say orange. Okay, orange. That young man in despair, that person who's in love with me, he is going to love me for myself and not more for my yellow hair. He's going to love me for myself, for my inner beauty and not my outer beauty. She is trying to indicate. She is also trying to give a message. She is also trying to say that, see, I am going to change my outer beauty. If he's loving me for my yellow hair, I'm going to change those hairs, okay? Because outer beauty is not permanent. As you age, your beauty is gonna go. In this stanza, we get to hear Anne's solution. Okay, it is about Anne's solution to this problem. She replies that she doesn't want someone to love her just because of her external beauty, and that's why she'll dye her hair to some other color, as such as orange, black or brown. So she wants to say that I don't want the person who is loving me for my outer beauty. That is why I'm going to change my outer beauty. If he's loving me for my yellow hair, I'm going to change my yellow hair. She too gives us a message that outer beauty, see, outer beauty can be changed, and that's why one should fall in love with the inner beauty and not the outer beauty. Outer beauty can change. Okay, outer beauty can change. If you have very fair skin, okay, if you go out in the sun for very long, you know, the fair skin is gonna go. Okay, but if you're in the sun for long, your inner beauty is not going to change. Okay, your inner beauty is going to remain the same. Your outer beauty may change, it may, you know, decrease, and you may not look very beautiful after a certain amount of time, after a certain amount of years, but your outer beauty, your inner beauty is never gonna change. That is why she wants to say that I am not going to fall for such a person who is not loving me for myself. So, the poetic devices here are alliteration. It is a repetition of a letter at the start of closely placed words, like S is being repeated in set such. Okay, the repetition of consonant sounds in the starting of the word. SS is being repeated in set such. Okay, metonymy. Metonymy, the poet has used carrot to show orange color. Okay, they have compared orange color with carrot. Okay, so this is metonymy. Like, I'm giving you certain other examples, like Jaipur. Like Jaipur is called Pink City. Okay, for Jaipur we use Pink City because Jaipur, you know, in Jaipur most of the buildings are of pink color. Not pink color, basically they are of a little orange shade, but it is called pink. I don't know why, but Pink City, it's called Pink City because the whole city looks pink. So for Jaipur we can use this color. You know, this color is representing Jaipur. Similarly, carrot is representing the orange color. Now a lot of people may say that, you know, carrot is of red color, but we are talking about those carrots which we get in summer, which we get in Europe and America. They are of orange color. Traditionally those you know, carrots are of orange color, which we call, you know, the foreign carrots, you know, and imported carrots. But you know, in India we get, you know, the kind of carrots that we get in winter are of red color. But here they are talking about those, you know, orange carrots which are also called pink carrots, although they are also called pink carrots. Now, stanza 3. I heard an old religious man, but yesternight declare that he had found a text to prove that only God, my dear, could love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. So now she is saying that I heard an old religious man. You know, he's saying that, you know, an old religious man. Maybe he's talking about a priest. See, here he's not mentioning the religion, that what kind of priest he was or what kind of text he read from. He's saying that yesternight means last night he said that I heard from a priest that he has read somewhere that only God, my dear, could love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. God is not loving you for your outer beauty, but he loves you for your inner beauty. Now see, if you look at it very carefully, the text is written. The word text is written, an old religious man is written. The religion is not mentioned. The reason is that the reader can be of any religion, okay? The reader may not, agree with, Christianity or Hinduism or Sikhism or any kind of other thing. So here, it is not mentioned, although I have, given a picture because I just believe that W.B. Yeats is talking about a Christian father or something. But here, the religion is not mentioned, but, every religious man, every religion says, no matter which religion you're talking about, God is one, and every God says one thing only, that God loves you for yourself alone. If you are good, God is gonna love you. If you are not doing anything good, then he is going to be angry on you. And he's not loving you for your yellow hair. It means that he doesn't love you for your beauty. Now let's look at the explanation. In the last stanza, the speaker makes Anne as well as the readers understand that last night he had heard a very old religious man saying that he had found a text which proves that only God can love us for inner selves. Now he has used the word very old religious man because he is trying to prove that it is very, authentic. The information is quite authentic. It's quite true. Because people do believe the old religious man, they do believe if something is written. So he's saying that this is written, that God loves us for our inner selves. There is no other human who can look beyond one's external beauty, as outer beauty is something that can carry away one's mind. It pleases your eyes, and anybody can get carried away by, outer beauty. So he's saying that you do not have to do this thing. It doesn't matter if you're beautiful or ugly from outside. If we are beautiful internally, God will definitely love us. Now this is a condition. If we are beautiful internally, God is definitely going to love us. The biggest example of this poem is APJ Abdul Kalam. If we look at APJ Abdul Kalam, if we talk about the outer beauty of APJ Abdul Kalam, APJ Abdul Kalam never applied makeup. He was, of a very short, he had a very short height. His physical stature, if we talk about, he was not very, good looking. He did not have a very pleasing personality, but he was beautiful, he had inner beauty. He was so beautiful. His nature was, he was a brilliant scientist. Not only he was a brilliant scientist, but he was internally, he was very beautiful. If you have read that chapter, My Childhood, it's all about APJ Abdul Kalam. But the other things are not mentioned in that chapter, that he used to donate all his salary. He loved to teach the children, and he had a lot of passion for education. He always, talked about education. He always talked about the betterment of the country. He was always about that. So he had a lot of inner beauty. So people love him for his inner beauty. All of them, all the people, if we look at, they never talk that how he used to look. Okay, they always talk about his inner beauty. So we can simply say that outer beauty can be deceptive. The people who are beautiful inside, everybody loves them. Although here it is written that only God loves the person who are beautiful inside. Okay, so the poetic devices, we can see that there is anaphora. It is the repetition of a word at the start of two or more consecutive words. See, anaphora is repetition, but a lot of students get confused. See, anaphora is when the word is being repeated at the starting of the lines. Now that and that is being repeated just at the starting of those lines. See, here as we can see, that and that, just in the starting of the consecutive lines. They have to be in the consecutive lines. So this is anaphora, repetition at the starting of the consecutive lines. Okay, you should understand the difference between repetition and anaphora. If that was not in the starting and somewhere in between and not in the consecutive lines, we would have said that, there is repetition here. But since it's in the starting of the consecutive words, it's anaphora. Okay, fine. So the next one is alliteration. We can see alliteration in he, had, and your, yellow. There is repetition of consonant sounds. Okay, H, and Y, and these are closely placed words and they are repeated. Okay, Now, let's talk about the homework, okay? Let's talk about the homework. See, when I talk about the homework, this is from your latest sample paper. This poem is very important for Anne Gregory. Here you have been given a passage, this is the second paragraph. But I can get a hair dye and set such color there, brown or black or carrot, the young man in despair may love me for myself alone and not my yellow hair. See, here this paragraph, we know that this paragraph is about Anne's solution. This is a solution that Anne is talking about, that I'm going to change the color of my hair. If he's loving me for my outer beauty, I'm going to change my outer beauty. So what are the questions that can be based on it? What is the poet's tone in this extract? If you understand this poem very carefully, if you read it and you try to understand its summary, you are gonna get that how she is trying to, what kind of a tone she is having, why she saying this, what is her motive behind this. Is she thoughtful? Is she authoritative? Is she trying to dominate? Is she agitated by this? Is she saying it angrily, insulting? Is she trying to insult someone, or is she arguing with someone? So what kind of a tone it is there, you have to select one of those options. So before solving this question, you need to read the poem very carefully. You need to understand the explanation very carefully. And by carefully, I mean that you should, by heart this, by heart the meaning, the explanation. Then only you can answer this question. The second is, what causes the young men to despair according to the extract? See, here we are talking about the young man in despair. The young man is in despair. The young man is sad because he is being rejected by Anne Gregory. He is being rejected by Anne Gregory because Anne Gregory can see that yes, this person is falling for me just because of my outer beauty. That is why this person is in despair. He is being rejected by his love, and his love is Anne Gregory. But what kind of a love he has? He only has love for her outer beauty. The third one, identify the reason for the speaker's need to color her hair as per the extract. Okay, different options are given to you, multiple options are given to you, that why according to you she's trying to color her hair. Here, her control over what makes her look beautiful, her desire to be loved for inner beauty, her need to change people's perception about beauty, her conviction that she is beautiful inside. Is she trying to control herself? Is she trying to exhibit that, see, I have a control on myself, that I can change the way I look? Okay, maybe I can look beautiful or ugly if I want. Her desire to be loved for inner beauty, she is doing that out of desire, that I want to be loved just for my inner beauty. Is she doing that because she needs to change people's perception? She needs to change people's thinking about beauty. Or the fourth option, her conviction that she is beautiful inside. Or she wants to say, she is trying to say that I am beautiful inside. Her conviction that she is beautiful inside. She is trying to prove that, see, I'm beautiful inside. That is why I'm going to change. That is why I'm going to dye my hair. So what of those, you have to choose that which option is correct. Now, the fourth question, complete the analogy about the speaker's hair. There is an analogy, yellow for yellow, blonde is here, blonde is for yellow hair, and what is carrot for which color we are talking about, although we have discussed, but this you can tell easily. Now, the fifth question, select the sentence in which the word set is used in the similar manner as line 2 of the extract. As you can see that we, if you have seen your sample paper, there are two questions, two type of questions, this kind of question is coming wherein you need to understand the meaning of the word. A word can have different meanings. So, different sentences are being given to you and they all have different meanings, but you have to guess that meaning. You have to choose that meaning which is in the poem. Okay, I want to set him up and get my work done this time. Which meaning of set is there in the poem? I want to set him up and get my work done this time. It means that I'm gonna fight with him. I'm gonna set him right. The second one says, do you have another set of the books that I can read? See, the dessert needs to be set for 2 hours before being served. So, 3 options have been given to you, and both these options have different meaning of set. You have to choose the word, you have to choose the sentence which is showing the similar meaning as it has in this paragraph. Okay, so I hope that you will be able to solve it. I hope that you have understood both the poems, and if you have any doubts, you can just let us know. Thank you for this class. We'll meet in the next class, and then take care. Bye-bye.